Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube tutorial channel. So a few hours ago, I went ahead and uploaded a video which is available actually. It's called Self-Hosted Agents on Azure DevOps. So where I went ahead and talked about how, when you try to experiment with Azure DevOps, you get a lot of free stuff, yes, but you don't get the agent. So the solution for that is you need to go ahead and host your own agent to follow along the tutorials, the learning plan, and all those things. And that's what that video was. At the same time, I did mention that there is a form called Azure Devops parallelism request. I don't understand the wording. Why can't the form just say, the Azure, Microsoft hosted agent grant request, which I think is much more readable, but I'm sure they have the reasons and all that, but it's irrelevant. The wording is irrelevant. What it means is when you create a new Azure DevOps organization, you get a lot of free stuff except the agent. Apparently there's a blog post here they've written here somewhere about the people were abusing the free service. Somewhere there was a blog post here. I don't know. Okay, so the idea is obviously, right, it's there's always scope for things to be misused. So that is why they made this form thing, so they can fill it up, and then in 2 to 3 business days, it is right here, 2 to 3 business days to process the request. So I did send this form a few days ago, and just a few minutes ago, I got the response that says, yes, my request, my Azure DevOps parallelism request has been approved. And then I was like, okay, that's good though. I mean, I already know how to use the self-hosted agent, which is actually a good developer experience, because I feel like the free cloud stuff might still have some limitations, and this makes it a little bit more hardcore, because you actually have to run a lot of commands and things like that to get the agent running, and it makes you feel more of a developer. And especially if you're new to DevOps and stuff like that, which is what I am, then it makes you feel like you're really doing something and making progress in your learning. It's like a hands-on lab exercise that you're really getting your hands dirty and everything. But it's always good to have the cloud option as well. You have one option and now you have 2 options. It's always good. 2 options are always better than 1 options. So that's how the world works. 2 is always better than 1. So there we go. So now that I got the the approval request, I don't want to show the approval email. I don't know if that's I don't think we're supposed to do that. But yes, the pool is alive. So let's go ahead and give it a try and see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to my organization. So the grant request is per organization. Now I have multiple organizations here. I don't know if I can place another request and they'll approve that also, but it's okay. One agent pool is enough. So I have this here. Now if I go to organization settings and I go to my agent pools, now I have the one which I have, this is my self-hosted. My self-hosted agent right now is offline because I just restarted my computer. So obviously that agent is offline, which is fine. Okay, but the interesting thing is I go back to agent pool. I see that you have the option called Azure Pipeline. An hour ago, this was empty. If I go to agents, it wasn't there. It was totally empty. But now you can see the cloud hosted, Microsoft hosted agent is alive. It's online, right? Now we compare this with mine. The self-hosted thing is offline because I just restarted my computer and I haven't turned it on yet. So every time I want to use it, I have to turn it on, and obviously I have to go and update the YAML file and everything. There is a bit of work involved, but now good thing is I have the cloud hosted pipeline agent online all the time. So let's go ahead and give it a test drive. You can see here that I already did a test drive before recording this video, but I figured I want to test it before I get too excited or something. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So as always, I'm going to go back to my organization. I'll go ahead and create a new project, and here what I want to do is I want to go ahead and call this what is this video called? What is the title? I gave this title Microsoft hosted agent. Yeah, so I'm going to say MS hosted agent demo. Cool. Let's go ahead and create a private project, and what I need is a repository. So I'm going to use the same repository I used in the previous video. So this is the one, the eShop project. Very nice project, really nice project. So there we go. Go to repositories, and let's go ahead and go to import and put the URL and import It'll take a few seconds. While that is happening, let me get some water. Okay, I'm back. Oh, it says import successful, and there it is. The first thing you want to do is you want to set your main branch default. It's not really necessary. You can select whichever branch you want when you're doing deployment. That's fine. But this setting it as default does make life a little bit simpler. So I'm going to go to pipelines. I'm going to create a pipeline. And the pipeline is already there in my repository. So I'm going to say existing Azure. Now here, there are so many pipelines available. The one that I've been using is this one, CI. And I'm going to say continue. There it is. The only thing you have to do here is this is commented, the trigger. So let's go ahead and uncomment it. And now this is the thing. In the previous video, which I recommend you watch, this is the part, right? Line number 16 is where we are calling on the agent. Okay, it kind of makes sense, isn't it? Like the first step is the repository, the first step is the trigger, and the second step is where the code is coming from, and then the stages will begin. Now, this first stage is called building, which is all we are trying to do. We are not trying to do any deployment here. And before we can do any of the actual steps, you need an agent to go through the steps of the stage. So which means before you can start your steps, for example, the first step is restore. Now, .NET developers, your first step you do in any project is restore the packages. So before we do that, we have to go ahead and get the agent up and running. So in the previous video, when I did not have this approval, I did not have a cloud agent ready to go, I was forced to go ahead and change this line to use my self-hosted. And before I can do that, I had to open my computer, run a bunch of commands, use the token and everything, and I had to wait for it to come online and then come back and make the necessary changes. But now that I have the cloud hosted agent, I don't have to go through the whole rigmarole. I don't have to do that because the agent is already online. It's cloud-based, so there's no configuration required. It just runs and gets updated automatically. All set. So there we go. So we have this. So all I have to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on save. It's asked me to commit. I know committing directly to the main branch is not the right way to do things, but we are just doing a demo, so it's fine. And there it is. So it is ready. Now all I have to do is click on run pipeline, and assuming everything is okay, the agent will start right away. And there it is. The agent request is not running it. Current position is Q1. So this is the one thing though. So what this means is, like, this is one negative about the Microsoft hosted agent. Now it is a free service and I'm not paying for it. So which means I don't get any priority. So it's a best effort service. But usually, Microsoft Cloud is fairly good, and I'm just running a simple project. So there you go. While I was talking, the agent came online. I was in Q1, and there it is. It started working already. So there you go. So ultimately, what I'm saying is, yes, in a way, this is, of course, there was a blog post somewhere about how obviously, it is free agent, so people might misuse it and stuff like that. In the comment section, there's a lot of discussion going on from developers, and I think they made this change about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I'm not sure. But ultimately, in a way, this is a good learning experience. If the cloud agent was already available, I would have never learned how to do self-hosted agents. Like if you go to this article, there is an option here which says, cloud and self-hosted Linux agent. There it is. There is an article called self-hosted Windows agents and stuff like that. Now, this is very interesting. They really, it's a lot of developer style steps, which makes you learn stuff and things like that. So in a weird way, this step is actually was a good experience. So there you go. So I'm just going to wait for this to finish. I'm going to keep talking. It should not take more than a few minutes here. I'm not doing any deployment. Deployment takes time. Okay, building usually doesn't take too much time. Deployment, I remember earlier I was going through a deployment pipeline, and the step was executing. It took almost like 40 minutes, and eventually I just let it run. I don't know when even though I was on a higher plan tier or something, it was taking a long time for the deployment to happen. Maybe the product is too big or was too big. I don't know. But yeah, the build usually doesn't take too long. So we'll just wait for it. Almost there. I'm trying to do like a comparison. I think something which I would like to do is maybe, two organizations side by side, self-hosted agent on one end, Azure agent on another end. Just do a comparison, like a side by side. See if there's any difference and something like that. I want to try that, see if that makes a difference. But I guess such a comparison would come down to the internet speed and the computer processing power. I mean, at the end of the day, the agent from the agent pool is really just a process executing these steps one by one. So it's like when you're trying to do Visual Studio on a basic laptop, build process will take a while, right? And if you have a like, for example, I use a gaming computer for development, so obviously everything runs really fast. But if you're on a laptop or something, it would take slow. So I'm guessing something similar. Oh, there you go. It's done. It's done. It's done. So I'm really happy about this, because now when I'm working on a project, I can do parallel execution. Like for example, Azure only gives you one agent, right? And what if I want to experiment with multiple parallel agent processing? I could set one activity to the hosted agent, Microsoft hosted agent, and I could set the other activity to a local self-hosted. Or in fact, I could run multiple self-hosted pool agents and just do like a 6 parallel job or something. I don't know. The possibilities are really, really endless. And I have to say, I'm kind of enjoying this whole DevOps thing. I mean, of course, DevOps can be a complex. It's not like I just started recently. So after 6 months, I might have given it up. I don't know. But I'm going to put my best effort here. So either way, I am definitely enjoying it, and it definitely works right now. So there you go, guys. So, the title is Microsoft hosted. I didn't change that. Sorry. Right. So there you go, guys. So that is it. So if you want to use Microsoft hosted agent, so go ahead and fill up the Azure DevOps parallelism request, and then submit the form, and then wait 2 to 3 business days. And then, as you saw just now, it definitely works. And I think the performance is comparable, almost the same as my self-hosted. So it mostly comes down to the convenience. It saves you some time, but I think it is a good experience in a way, because it made me figure out the self-hosted thing, which I would not have done if not for this limitation. So I think this is one of those cases where something which might be assumed to be a problem actually becomes an advantage and a good thing from a learning perspective. So there you go. That's all there is to it. And thank you.